Hello friends, welcome again. In this video, we are going to learn how we can add AD server to our Cloudbees Jenkins Operation Center for authentication of the users. So what I have done is I have installed my Active Directory, Microsoft Active Directory here on Windows 2012 server. So if you see here, this one I have installed, and I have created an Active Directory here for demo purpose. It's a very simple Active Directory. I have set up the Active Directory role and created some users, domain users. That's all. Nothing much complicated. I just created here. If you see that, this is the Active Directory server on Windows 2012. I created a VM and then added a role. It's pretty simple just to create Active Directory. Obviously not that simple, but for basic purpose, if you want to use just for demo purpose, it's pretty simple, straightforward. After installation of the 2012 server, you can just add the role here, add role and features. Then you can just go on using this wizard. You can create various roles, including the Active Directory role and the domain controller role. So I'll not go and explain those details here, but I have created my domain as corp.pnayak.local. So that is my domain. If you see that Active Directory Administrative Center, if you go here, it will show what is the domain I have created. So this is the domain I have created, and if you see the DC Corp, DC PNAC, DC Local, right? So this is the corp, and this is the domain controller, and I have named this domain controller as AD. So my VM name is AD. So if you see the FQDN, fully qualified domain name, will be ad.corp.pnac.local. That will be my fully FQDN for this Active Directory. So, and I have done some basic modification to my network configuration here. So what I have done is I have just added I have changed the DNS. That's all, nothing else I did. If you see my enterprise here, I have so here I have just added the DNS is my AD server. That is, I have given the IP address as 192.168.0.3, and DNS2 is the Google DNS. So that's a modification I have done with all our virtual machines here. I have done in each and every machines. I have just re-guided my DNS to the DNS which I created, domain controller, and Active Directory. This is also the DNS server, and this is the domain controller. So all the roles I have added, right? So let's go and see how can we manage the Jenkins, authenticate the Jenkins server using the AD server. So I have already added that, but I'll do that for our purpose. See, whenever you are logging, I have created the administrator, and I have this is my corp, okay, like my domain name. So I'll try to log in. with my domain administration, domain administrator. Here, if you see this, the username is administrator corp/administrator. So how I did that is, I'll just explain here. Go to the here configure global security. I already explained it. Last time we did with Unix user and group database, so that I'll able to authenticate using the local Unix or Linux users. But today what I did is I enable security and click Active Directory. Active Directory domain name, give the domain name here and go to advanced, and domain controller, the fully qualified domain name you can give, domain controller. I have created a site called home, so because I am just in my domain controller or the AD server, I have created a site, and that site is I'll show you. Tools, if you go here, Active Directory site and services, here I have two sites, home and site 1. So I have, this is the default one, which when I created, there was a default site and I just renamed to home. Okay, so that's what I'm using for my users here. Site is home and bind DN. So this is going to be my DN, okay, and the password, which my administrator password. So for authentication, administrator, which I have given here, so that the password I have to give here. And you see that CN users and the DC corp, DC PNI, DC local, okay, domain controller, right? And controller, that's all it takes to really add Active Directory. And after filling all this, just save it, okay, and you are almost done. Do we need something different? Okay, yes, and you can also choose if you want which one, the role-based metrics or project-based metrics authorization. So you can, I choose the role-based metrics authorization strategy, and I kept the retain any existing role-based metrics authorization strategy configuration. Whatever already done, just retain those, okay? So that's all, and I created, now just log out, and I can, even if corp.pnayak, which I have the user here, if you see, I can see who are the users. Go to Active Directory users and computers. So you see that I have a name, my name here, and the account is pnayak. So this is the username pnayak and corp.pnayak.local. So this is the user, and also I have a test user 1. So the count is test user 1 at the same. So both are two separate users apart from the administrator I have created. Let's go and try to authenticate those from here. So corp.pnayak, and I could log in, right? So this is Panchaleshwar, and problem accessing, okay, the region not found. Okay, so this is trying to access the details, some more setup needed, I believe. I'm not going to do that right now. Just this is a basic AD. I didn't fully configure the AD as of a corporate environment or maybe a production environment AD server. I just created the AD server with very basic configurations, without much security, without much role defined, some basic, very basic users. Okay, that's why it is. And let's log in with the test user 1. Okay, so corp test user 1 and ABC 1, 2, 3. So here I have create a read-only profile for test user 1. So you see that nothing is visible, just it is a read-only user. That's all. Here, authenticating the Jenkins server, operation center, and same thing we can do that with the Jenkins enterprise server as well. Well, let's do one thing. We have also the JFrog Artifactory Server. Let's add Artifactory Server also to our AD server. So here I have already done that. Okay, if you go to admin, and previously we created our own password for admin user. Now, if you go to admin here, go admin. Here there is no AD, but we have LDAP. So go and click LDAP, and you can click a new. I have already done here. If you click a new one, so here you can actually set up all our AD's configurations. For that, I have just given this. Okay. Here, setting name, you can give anything. My new AD, and just give copy here. So this would be our URL, LDAP URL. If you see, what is this? This is nothing but LDAP://AD, the whole AD, and the 389 port number, and all the DNs, all the DC stuffs. Okay, and here you don't need the user DN pattern, and you can just keep as it is. Search filter. So either you can search a either you can give search filter, or you can give a DN pattern. So what I do is I'll give this one, AIM account search filter as this one. Okay, and search base I don't need. Just then, okay, search base I can give. Okay, I don't need that. Okay, so here manage DN, right? So here I have to give this one, which I just copied here. Administrator users corp pnac.local, and your password, administrator password. You want to, before really saving, don't do save right away, just test a user. So here I have pnac test user, right? I have a user, so test that whether it is authenticating or not, to before going and saving it, thus test the connection. So you see, successfully connected and authenticated the test user. Once you do that, then only you save. If otherwise, if you save, what happens is you may end up having a wrong configuration. You may end up without communicating to your but anyway, you can always admin server. Okay, just save it. We can always log in as core admin, that is the basic admin. So that's all. So my to AD, I can just maybe delete one, previous one, just delete it. I should have only one AD server authentication. I don't need multiple. That's all. And log out. Then now I think I should able to log in. Administrator APCT. You see, I could log in. So this does not have admin configuration. Obviously, I have to do more configuration at the AD server side. So which will give me and proper administration authority for all the servers which I connect. So those configuration has to be done at the AD side, Active Directory side, so that I'll have the admin privilege as well. Okay. Or if you want to still admin the local user admin, that you can always log in for any admin purpose. You can always log in with the local admin user and do all the admin stuffs. That's all. One more thing I just wanted to tell here. Last time I should have with the previous videos, but here once you authenticate, sometimes it so happen, actually I thought of explaining that but I could not. So what happens when you go and configure, then what happens is you end up maybe having a wrong configuration, and if you just enable and save it without having a proper configuration, you cannot log into the Jenkins server. You cannot. If anything goes wrong without a proper configuration, once you enable and do a wrong configuration or something like that, let it be here. Suppose I do have open, I have not done any SSO configuration, I have not provided any valid URL. I'm going to show one demo. Suppose now what happens is I have not provided anything or something like that. Let it be Google SSO or something, but I'm going to save it now. So what happens is it will not allow me to log in. Let's try it. You see that? And now what happened? I'll now log out. So is it? Let's see. Okay, because we didn't give, so it is allowing. Let's try to purposefully create another wrong configuration. Let's do it here. Something different. Okay, so let's do that here. Save. Log out. Now, which one? Root, because I have given anything. Invalid. So you will get this login information, and because it is asking, we have configured that Jenkins server should have a local user. Okay, Jenkins itself, not local user, but Jenkins server itself should maintain a database of users, which we didn't create, right? So in that situation where now there is no way we could log in, let's try our corp. You see that I am no way I can log into my Jenkins server now. So the configuration went wrong. So what to do in this scenario? This is a typical scenario for starting like basic users who just started to learn Jenkins. It may arise. So go and log into that server, the VM with the Unix user, and go to the config file. So vi super user, go to sudo su super user, then do a vi of the where you have installed var leaf Jenkins OC, and here config.xml file you will find here. So this is the path by default. This is taken where you install. This is the default path. You will find the config.xml file. Just do that. Edit that. And we are trying to edit that file. And what you are going to do is, from here, if you see this is user security has been true, make this particular entry which is true, user security, make that as false. The XML file, we made it false, and remove all others up to the realm. Okay, the realm, security realm, this has to be deleted. So delete that first one, authorization strategy. Here it is showing, and then this particular line, this line, this line, and this line. Okay, that's all, and save it. Now restart the Jenkins server. So restart. Okay, just restarted. Let's now see what happens. It has to come up. So it is coming up. You see, this is just logged in without any user. So it has gone to the basic without authentication. So it is not authenticated now. So you have to again do the configure global security. So you have to again enable and do the proper configuration. That's the way you can debug, or you can bring back your machine to the login stage where you cannot log into your Jenkins server. With that, I finish off this video session, and see you in my next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.